You are standing on a moving log in a river that does not slow down for fear. Under your boots, wet bark turns like a wheel, and one wrong shift of weight can throw you into the current. This is not a sport, not a stunt, and not a legend told in a tavern after the danger is over. This is 19th century log driving, one of the most exhausting and unforgiving jobs in the timber world. Before railroads and trucks reached deep forests, rivers became highways for cut timber. Thousands of logs were rolled from winter camps into spring floodwater, then pushed downstream toward distant mills. The system looked simple from shore, wood floating with the current, men guiding it along. But from the river itself, the drive was a shifting floor of slick timber, cold water, and violent pressure. The first rule was brutal: never trust a log just because it looks still. A log could twist without warning, sink at one end, or spin under your heel like a living thing. Drivers learned to move lightly, knees bent, eyes forward, with their balance always borrowed from the next second. Their main tools were long pike poles, peavies, and cant hooks, built to bite into wood and by leverage. With one iron point, a driver could push, pull, roll, or separate timber before it locked together. But the same tool that saved him could trap him if the river changed faster than his hands. The most dangerous moment began when the logs stopped moving. At a bend, a shallow bar, a narrow chute, or a fallen obstruction, the timber could begin to pile up. One log caught another, then another, until the river built a wooden dam with pressure gathering behind it. To the men on shore, it was called a jam. To the men on it, it was a loaded weapon. Water kept pushing from behind, raising the mass, twisting it, grinding it, trying to break it loose. Somewhere inside the tangle was a key log, the piece holding the entire jam in place. The job of the most skilled drivers was to reach that key log before the jam became too large. They stepped out onto unstable timber with nothing beneath them but dark water and trapped force. Every surface was wet, every gap was a fall, and every sound meant something: cracking wood, rushing water, or shifting weight. A driver had to read the jam like a machine with no drawings and no second chance. Strike the wrong log, and nothing happened except more pressure building behind him. Strike the right one too late, and the whole river could move at once. When a jam broke, it did not politely open, it released. Logs surged forward, rolled over one another, bucked upward, and dragged anything loose into the channel. A man caught between two moving trunks faced a force no human body could argue with. That is why the best drivers respected the river more than they respected their own courage. The work was not only dangerous, it was endless. Spring water was cold enough to numb feet, hands, and judgment long before the day was finished. Less experienced men worked the rear of the drive, wading through icy shallows to free stranded logs from banks and brush. They were soaked for hours, pushing timber back into the current while the river pulled warmth out of them. The skilled jam crews looked heroic from a distance, but exhaustion was the quiet enemy in every crew. A tired driver missed the sound of a log shifting, stepped too heavily, or reacted one heartbeat late. Food followed the drive on rough supply rafts or wagons, because the men often moved with the river itself. They slept where the drive allowed them to sleep, rose cold, and returned to a river that had changed overnight. Rain could raise water levels, narrow channels could speed the current, and a single obstruction could turn routine into crisis. The river never offered the same problem twice. At wide stretches, the logs spread like a broken army, drifting into eddies, shallows, and dead water. At tight bends, they crowded together and tried to build another jam before the crew could stop it. The driver had to think like the river, where pressure would gather, where wood would catch, where escape would vanish. That knowledge came from scars, stories, and the mistakes of men who were not always there to explain them. There were no hard hats, no radios, no rescue boats standing ready, and no modern harness clipped to safety. Survival depended on balance, timing, tools, teamwork, and a cold sense of when to retreat. The bravest man was not always the one who stepped deepest into the jam. Sometimes the bravest choice was to admit that the river had already won that minute. But industry was waiting downstream, and every delayed drive meant lost money, lost timber, and pressure from bosses. That pressure pushed crews toward risks that no sensible person would choose in calm daylight. A jam could hold back miles of timber, and breaking it could decide whether the season succeeded or failed. So the drivers went out again, walking on a surface that could become a trap under their feet. Imagine the sound: water hammering stone, wood groaning under strain, men shouting over the current. Now imagine trying to make one precise decision inside that noise. You plant the pike pole, feel the iron bite, and test whether the log beneath you is the key. The jam shifts slightly, just enough to tell you that the river has heard you. There is a moment when nothing moves, and that moment may be more frightening than the release. Then the mass begins to breathe, not like a creature, but like pressure finding a door. A smart driver moves before the break, not after it. He looks for higher timber, a bank, a rock, anything that might survive the first surge. If he hesitates, the logs decide his path for him. This was the hidden intelligence of the job, knowing when control ended. The men who survived were not simply strong. They were readers of water, wood, weather, and fear. They understood that a river drive was not one danger, but hundreds of small dangers arriving in sequence. Cold weakened the body, noise confused the mind, pressure distorted judgment, and moving would punish pride. Even the tools carried risk. A hook could slip, a pole could jam, a handle could wrench the body off balance. Yet without those tools, the men were almost powerless against the weight of the timber. The job demanded courage, but it punished recklessness. By the time railroads and trucks began replacing river drives in many regions, the old skill started to fade. What remained were photographs, tools, river stories, and the memory of men small against moving forests. Today, a logjam may look frozen in a historical image, but the real danger was that it was never truly still. It was waiting for water, weight, leverage, and a human mistake. So place yourself on that wet timber, with freezing current below and a jam groaning ahead. Your boots are slipping, your hands are numb, and the river is beginning to move. You have one pole, one chance, and almost no time to choose. Could you survive this?